talking about
Mine.
one of the ones that
This thing. It's up there. Yeah.
Who did you hand out to first?
Whatever you say, JP.
Who did I? I didn't see the writing on it. The writing on
I do that, but
I didn't see the writing.
I'm the youngest child, I have to fight for.
I think everybody knows who I am, but just in case you don't, my name is Jane Walker-Plank, and I am the Human Resources Manager. I've been here since August, and I'm having a blast. For me, being here is going back to my roots. I started in the late 70s and early 80s working in residential facilities. I've done direct care, I've done supervisor, I've been an administrator, and I started and ran a program for folks who had severe dual diagnosis and behavioral disorders. So this is kind of home for me. And so I've been on the programmatic side and on the administrative and HR side. What I wanted to do was to begin to provide some supervisor training. I couldn't find any evidence of much in the way of a comprehensive supervisor program. And in addition to this, I'm going to use this material to create a supervisor orientation so that when you get promoted to supervisor, you're hired into supervisors, we all have the same values and the same ideas about how we're going to treat the people that we work with. So that if you work at New Avenues and somebody says, well, hey, you know, what's it like over there? Well, you know, supervisors believe that employees are the most important people here. And that's what we stand for. Because without them, the people we serve got nothing. And so our job, from my perspective, is, do you have any comments? That's okay. My job is to turn the table of organization upside down for your consideration. The top are the people that we serve. The next people are the people who directly touch us. The rest of us are here to make that relationship work, to make that relationship a positive experience for both of them. Because if the support staff we have are not happy, what happens?
Nobody's happy.
Nobody's happy. So that's what this is all about from my perspective and what I think we need to do. Another thing that this is about for me is that because we're spread out all over, it is hard to have a team. And so the more we get together, the more we share, the more we connect, the more teamwork which occurs, you know, across programs and across the agency. And I think that that's an important thing, especially if you're in trouble and you need something. So I want to start by going around, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and to tell me whether or not you've ever participated in a comprehensive supervisor training program. Let's start with you, Sean.
Sean Nicholas, and yes,
And you are what here?
Director of Vocational Services.
Okay.
Daniel Thomas, and yes, I have, and I am the Cuyahoga County Support Living Associate.
I'm Deb White, I'm the project manager at Madison Workshop, and yes, I have.
Bonnie Hatzel, team leader for West Hill House. No, I haven't.
Noreen Reed, team leader at Salem. No.
Sarah Zarconi, I'm the Resource Development Coordinator, and I have not.
I'm Debbie Kolfenbeck, I'm the music therapist, and I'm the clinical training supervisor for the interns, and yes, I have.
The door.
Jennifer Woods, the Q from Richmond. It's been so long, I don't know. Maybe
In the dark.
You will exhibit supervision as if you have, if that's.
Thank you.
Yes. Larry, introduce yourself and tell us if you've ever had supervisor training.
Yes, my name is Larry Hinton. I'm active main manager. No, I haven't.
No, pass me that.
Althea
Oh,
Conti,
okay.
QA nurse and nursing supervisor, and yes, I have.
Sam Smith, maintenance manager, and yes, I have.
Okay, did somebody?
There's just one outline handout.
There, he needs.
Right.
Sign-in sheet,
Yeah.
This is it.
There you go.
Can I ask you, who you are and who you went through this type of management training?
Oh, I'm Melanie O'Connell, and no, I haven't been through.
and your job here is?
I'm the team leader for Lake County in-home. But I work with a number of individuals and really cool.
I'm Donnelly Barnelli. I am project rehabilitation manager for Bennington at this point, and yes, I have gone through extensive training.
Norma Salvi, I'm the benefits coordinator and HR generalist. It's a little early, I guess. And no, I have not been through this.
Mary, I'm our recreation coordinator. No, I haven't.
So that tells us, this is gonna be very informal training. If you need to get up to use the restroom or go get a pop or whatever, that's fine. It's also gonna be very interactive. We're gonna talk to each other. We're gonna share our experience. Because we can learn a lot more if we all, oh, I missed you. You thought you were getting out of it, didn't you?
I thought you were just, I was waiting.
Thank you.
I'm Darlene Wilson, team leader, and yes, I have.
Okay, thank you, darling. So I encourage comments and questions and all of those things. So for today, there's a guy who started Visa credit card company and who was the CEO for quite some time, billion-dollar company. And I admire a lot of his work. I admire a lot of his ideas about management. And to start today, I wanted to introduce this topic by giving a couple of his quotes. His name is D. Hock. The first is, if you look to lead, and notice he didn't say manage, he said lead. Invest at least 40% of your time managing yourself. That's the 40% of your time managing yourself. Your ethics, your character, your principles, your purpose, your motivation, and conduct. Because I think sometimes when we've been somewhere for a long time, we forget about the messages that our choices and our actions send, to employees, and we have to be careful. Invest at least 30% of the time managing those with authority over you. Yeah. And 15% of the time managing your peers, 15% of the time managing your staff. Because if you manage yourself and those other things, what happens to the staff?
They'll fall into place.
Yeah, you're creating a culture of personal responsibility. For me, the whole thing is to empower staff to be good at what they do. And we'll talk a little more about that. The other thing he says, and this is kind of the summary of the last quote, lead yourself, lead your superiors, lead your peers, and free your people to do the same. So his suggestion is that everybody manage themselves 40% of the time. But that's a process, isn't it? Yeah. There's some things that we're going to talk about today. Today what we're talking about is how to manage myself and how to manage my skills, how to look at myself, how to appraise my skills, my behavior, my ethics, my so forth. I don't think everybody is naturally born with the ability to be awake to their own strengths and weaknesses and to make changes. I don't know about you guys, but if I don't do my little morning routine and focus myself for the day, I can go through days without ever putting my head up, doing this and then this and then this, and going here and going there and doing that. And I become a human doing instead of a human being. And that's not enough for me. And I don't like how it affects my soul at all. I think part of the way that we become a good leader is by becoming the best human that we can be at any given point in time. Nobody's perfect, and there's no station that we're gonna arrive at, you know, in our efforts to grow as a person. But as long as we're working on it, as long as we're progressing, there's no such thing as, there's regressing and progressing. There's no gressing. But I seem to find a way to gress, you know? So, for me, these are some of the things that I learned that were important to me to be successful. The first is to be awake, meaning I'm in my body,
Hello.
I am in my soul, I'm aware of my body, I am aware of other people, I am awake to what's going on around me, and I am awake to what I'm here for and what I'm trying to do. And to me, when I first heard that quite a while ago, I logged in immediately to what they meant by be awake. You know, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of practice. After many years of meditation, I could do it about 15 minutes. And I have to continue to remind myself, wait, you know? Because I don't know about you guys, but I have a problem with my mind. Now, it might just be me, but I will catch myself in the car on the way to work thinking, okay, well then I'm gonna say this, and then they're gonna say that, and then I'm gonna say this, and if I only say it this way, then they're not gonna do that anymore. All lies. You know, one important truth is the only person I can change is me. I imagine that I'm in a hula hoop, and the only thing that I can change is what's in that hula hoop. We can't actually change, we can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do, which is why you'll hear me talk about leadership and not management. Because I can coerce someone to do something because they need a paycheck, but I'm not going to get the result that I want to get from that person. They're going to be passive aggressive, they're going to be talking about me to everybody, you know, it's not going to be good. And we want to create that relationship I talked about in the beginning between the direct support staff and the individuals we serve. We don't create a good relationship by that kind of drama. We create a good relationship by being honest, open-minded, willing, meaning willing to believe that maybe my idea is not the only idea. There's 1,000 right ways to do things. As a good leader knows how to be wrong when they're right. Do you know what I mean? You find yourself in a situation your staff really, really wants to try some new thing. It's been tried before, okay? But what do? You don't have to be right. You can say, you know, go ahead and try that. And let them find out for themselves what that experience is. So a very high level of functioning is being able to be wrong and to be able to be wrong when you're right. I talk a lot about my mistakes. I talk a lot about when I don't remember something, those kinds of things, because I want the people who work for me to know that I am not perfect, and I want them to be able to say, ooh, I screwed up, you know, or can you help me with this? It's the thing that you hide that I can't do anything about. You know, if your staff person sees someone on the weekend being abusive and they don't tell you, you can't do anything about that. But if people can talk to you and if you're open, you know, to hearing the problems that are going on, that's important. I mean, I know that you guys probably don't do it, but I've been in residential services a long time. Here's one of the things that I often hear from staff. My manager has a pet, a sacred cow, you know, someone they really like, and when the manager's not here, they do whatever they want and they never get any consequences for that. So am I going to tell that manager anything that I see that person do? No, I'm not. Because I got to eat. You know, people here they're here to eat. We don't have anybody here that's going to buy rolls. Nobody. They're here to eat. They're here to feed their kids, you know. So they're not going to risk their job if the environment that's created in their home is one of favoritism. Another thing that I think makes us very successful, we have to know where we're going. We have to be on some kind of path. Because I can't grow if I don't know where I'm going and where I'm heading. And my path has changed very, very much since I was young. When I was young, it was hippie time, right? And so, you know, I'm reading books like I'm okay, you're okay. And I was on the endless search to find myself. And how amazed I was to realize that I was right here. I was just, you know, I took many paths to get there. So that path had to change at some point. So
Anita
the path isn't-
Coleman, you have a phone call holding on 355. Anita, please pick up 355.
So, you gotta decide what is your personal mission? You know, what are you trying to do with your life? I'm lucky at the stage that I'm in my life, because I know that for sure. My life is about love and service. That's what I do. That's my life. In here, out here, whole life, that's what I'm trying to do, is be a good instrument so I can be of service to other people, because that's what brings me joy. And that's what keeps me on track. That's what keeps me working hard. Because I can't try to teach you something I'm not willing to do, right? And so if I'm talking to some people and I'm saying, this is my experience, and I'm not living up to what I'm suggesting, or at least trying to, I don't know about you guys, but I get a little nibble. I think that no matter what you believe spiritually, I think whatever you believe is good. I think that, you know, the universe has all kinds of different colored doors, and you can go to the red one, you can go to the blue one, you can go to the green one, but I all think it ends in the same place. For me, it does. But, and that's as far as I'm going on any kind of topic like that. But I think that I know where I belong now. I'm in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and I'm sure of that. And that is such a wonderful thing, you know? I mean, if, there were a lot of times in my life when I wasn't there. I don't know if you guys have had that experience. So, we all have to be willing to change, and we have to be willing to change our minds. A lot of what the mistakes that I have made as a manager, and I have made them, I should have brought some of my examples to show you. But some of the mistakes that I have made is because I think that all of us are a little bit fear-based in some of our behaviors, meaning we do things because we don't want someone to not like us. We do things because we don't want to lose our jobs. We do things because we feel that we're less than. We do things because our parents terrified us and we still feel like we're living in that environment, you know? And things that we do fear-based generally cross our path. And so now we don't feel good inside, you know, we feel kind of icky. I don't know, your solar plexus gets icky, your throat hurts. When I do something that's against my truth, that's how I feel. And I don't want to feel that way anymore. I really don't. So I have to be in alignment with my own truth. Whatever your truth is, I suggest you do the same. And when I'm supervising people and when I am in alignment, I'm a very good example of what I expect from the people that I manage, the people that I am peers with, and the people who supervise me. When I am not in alignment, I get hooked up in power things. I mean, that was a good example. When I was working in one of the group homes, I was the house manager. We had 9 women in this facility. It was very early in the deinstitutionalization movement. And I was kind of intimidated because some of the staff were older than I was. And I had a college degree, which was not good at that time for your staff. I mean, they're like, oh, you don't know anything just because you have a degree. And I tried to make people do things. You know, I made lists for them, and I made them check them off, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Not everybody needs that kind of supervision. So, you know, I got nicknames that I won't use here, but but I learned from it. You know, I said, let's find out what your skills are. Let's see what you're good at. Let's make some assignments based on who's good at what. And that was we had a much more, like, we got together as a team every week and said, you know, who's gonna be taking care of what? And people signed up for that. And it was really good because over time, the staff learned, instead of telling on each other to me, they would just tell each other, like, you did a crap job on that kitchen floor, you're on midnight. Really? And then they would solve it. Instead of me having that, you know how that is with shifts. First shift thinks midnights doesn't do anything. You know, it goes all the way around the clock. And so it's important. So I think what we want to try to do here is to figure out who we are, or refigure it out, and take those strengths and weaknesses and learn to work with the people that we supervise and spend 40% of the time managing ourselves. So what I want to do now, I have some more outlines if people didn't get handouts. We can pass them around. One of the things I'm a fan of is an instrument called Myers-Briggs. Have any of you heard of Myers-Briggs before? Yes. Okay. Myers-Briggs gives you 4 components of your personality, and you learn more about what are your strengths and what are your challenges. And if you don't know what you're good at and what you're not good at, you're never going to be happy at work. Because are you happy when you're doing something you're not good at? Okay. So I can never be a bank teller. I can't, because A, I can't behave appropriately for 8 hours, and B, I cannot balance a drawer. You know, I just can't. So it's okay, it's not a bad thing to be able to say, this is a good fit and this is not. And if you can't do that for yourself, you'll never be happy at work. And if you're not happy at work, you gotta go. You shouldn't be here, you know? In fact, this morning, someone I don't know, which is a good thing, was walking by, and I said, oh, there's a good thing about that stuff you have in your hand. She said, there's nothing good about work. I was like, whoa, okay. I said, I'm the HR manager. My name is Jane Walker Blaine. So, if you're not happy, remember that relationship we talked about between the individual and the staff who touch them? That relationship, that's a sanctuary, and we have to maintain the dignity and the integrity of that relationship. That's what we're all about here. And if you can't maintain your dignity and integrity of yourself, how are we gonna do that beautiful thing that we do here? And I have seen it done. I mean, I've been visiting the homes, I've been to some dances, and I have seen some gorgeous stuff going on here. So I'm gonna hand out the Myers-Briggs and ask you to take it.
Pen.
Meaning, to answer the question, doesn't mean that you get up and leave the room.
Thank you, Tom. Nothing worse than unclear directions.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Oh, thank you. Got a Sharpie marker.
All right, how many are ISTJ?
These plaques before.
You're ISTJ.
Very true. Here's an ISTJ, and see if you guys agree now that you know who raised their hands. Quiet, serious, thorough, and dependable. Practical, matter-of-fact, realistic, and responsible. Decide logically what should be done and work toward it steadily, regardless of distractions. Takes pleasure in making things orderly and organized. Values, traditions, and loyalty. Is that you guys? You feel like that's it?
Yep.
All right.
To a T.
How many ISTJs are the most detailed of the signs? Just so you know. So if you need an assistant, you want an ISTJ, you want someone in your facility to be an IS combination of some kind for your paperwork, because it will be done. ISFJ, whoa, That's an introverted censor, feeler, and judge. Quiet, friendly, responsible, and conscientious. Again, detailed, committed, and steady in meeting their obligations. Thorough, painstaking, and accurate. Loyal, considerate, and considerate. Strive to create an orderly and harmonious environment at home and at work. How about INFJ? No? ISTP. These are very low, these don't occur that often. ISFP. No. INFP. No. INTP. No. ESTP. Now that makes sense, LA. Flexible and tolerant, they take a practical approach focused on immediate results. Theories bore them. They want to act energetically to solve the problem. Focus on the here and now, spontaneous, enjoy each moment, that they can be active with others. Enjoy material comforts and style. Learn best through doing. Does that describe you?
Exactly.
Yeah. She ordered that Porsche. But not the one that had the crash. ESFP? You're the only one? We don't have any other ones? You're made for your job. Yeah, does it
Sounds like
describe
everyone
you?
else in this room loves life.
Outgoing, friendly, exuberant lovers of people and material comforts, enjoy work. For a while when I first started here, Danielle changed her look so much that I didn't know who she was. It was so embarrassing. She goes, "You know me?" And I'm like, "Oh my God," you know. Now I'm kind of getting used to it, but yeah. They adapt readily to new environments and people. Learn best by trying a new skill with other people. That's you too, right? No, you're an EN. ENFP. There should be a lot of these. Just one? Warm, enthusiastic, and imaginative, sees life as full of possibilities, make connection between events and information quickly, and confidently proceed based on the patterns they see. Spontaneous and flexible, often rely on verbal fluency. If you've ever played Words with Friends with Erin, you will know that she's verbally fluent.
I do.
What's your screen name?
There's another challenge.
ENFP.
We just did that.
Wow, that should be a popular one.
That was
ENTP.
That's you. That's me.
ENTP?
Yeah.
Quick, ingenious, stimulating, alert, and outspoken, resourceful at solving problems, good at reading other people, bored by routine, will seldom do the same thing the same way, apt to turn one interest to new one interest after another. So I guess you're not long for Words with Friends. It'll be
She
something
didn't read
else.
that.
Oh no, I'll stick with it.
Fumbled it all up.
How many people here play Candy Crush? Well, she has a problem and we're starting a 12-step.
What level are you on?
How about, I started something. How about ESFJ?
And I just put the letter.
There we go, all right.
Say that again, which one?
ESFJ, yeah. That's warm-hearted, conscientious, and cooperative, wants harmony, works with determination, likes to work with others, loyal, notices what others need and tries to provide it, wants to be appreciated for who they are and what they contribute. How about ENFJ? Warm, what'd I skip?
ESTJ.
ESTJ, how many of those?
Which is wrong, that is ISTJ.
You're usually I. As you get older, you do move towards the other side. How many other, any other ESTJs?
No.
Really?
I mean, I think I'm always real close. It's like almost a tie. I'm like
Yeah.
2 points off.
Yeah, so you're a little above.
Yeah.
Here's how you can tell if you're an E or an I. If you are an E, when you have a problem, you talk to everyone about it, or someone about it. If you're an I, you go home and think on it, and the next morning you wake up with an answer. I's process internally, and E's process externally. It's not really the difference between being a party person or being a shy person. Introvert doesn't mean shy, it means internal process.
I'd be interested to see.
All right,
this
what was
fast
next
talk scene.
after E? Okay, we're on ENTJ. This is the most common for a CEO, this characteristic. Frank,
That's Tom.
we are Frank, are we not? Ms. Jennifer? Decisive, Ms. Jennifer. Assume leadership readily. Quickly see illogical and inefficient procedures and policies. You see why I've been driving you nuts? Because it's my sign. Implement comprehensive systems to solve organizational problems. Enjoy long-term planning and goal setting. Well-informed, well-read. Enjoy expanding the, I don't know if reading The Onion online really is well-read, but enjoy expanding their knowledge and passing it on to others. Forceful in presenting their ideas. I apologize for that. Anybody not think that that it fits them, the description? Anybody go?
I didn't get the last paper. There was a paper here that you look up here.
Yeah, I got plenty of them here. What was yours?
I'm ESFJ.
Ooh, that's very nice for this field. It means that you're detail oriented, but you are a feeling person as opposed to an analytical person. So you have some, J is also an analytical part, so you have a nice mix of heart and organization.
Thank you.
He's the ENTJ, he's the CEO. He fits in his job.
Yours not fit.
I used to have been manipulated. I don't ever remember.
I came up with ENFJ this time.
As we get older, sometimes it changes, but sometimes instruments
I
change.
thought it was at a class.
I don't do well with crazy.
No, I did it with everybody. Yeah. Wasn't me. They gave us the.
All right.
Did you come out with that?
Yeah.
So, what happens as we use the Myers-Briggs, I would encourage you to read the long version of your,
Yeah.
I will actually send you the link to read the long version of your type. The reason is that it'll give you more on weaknesses and what you need to work on. For instance, if I need to go to anybody who is an IS with the first two letters with a problem, you cannot run up to these people and go, hey, I need this sign and that will in 2 minutes. They don't function like that. You gotta go up and say, here's my case, this is what I need, I'll get back to you in an hour. They need a couple minutes, you know, some people. So different types have different strengths and weaknesses and how they work. You know, ENTJs like me, I'll read through my email, solve 100 problems, 15 minutes flat. But I may not have read all the way to your email, to the end of it.
Scroll down, Jane.
Yeah. That's just part of the sign.
No, she'll say, what is this about? Scroll down, Jane.
Yeah. That's the way she's signed her signature for her emails from me. Read the whole thing. So we all have strengths and weaknesses and things that we're really good at and things we're not. But as you look at your team, you know, for instance, licensure people are usually ISs or ESs, meaning they're very detail oriented. So instead of being mad about it, you know, we can think about, well, how do you work well with somebody who's, you know, very detail oriented? Well, you lay your stuff out in this room before they get here. And you let them walk in a line through the book, everything laying here. And you'll make them very happy. But they're logical people. They like everything very organized. They do not like complex systems sometimes, though. They would prefer something that is, you know, is a straight line. So as we get to know each other and what these types mean, we learn how to work with each other, and we learn how to give people different kinds of responsibilities. If somebody is an ST It means they're a total thinker. They're not a feeler. You know, do you want to send a feeler with your individuals to a funeral? No, that's the wrong person. You know, they're not gonna know what to say to people. At a funeral, you're supposed to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. Our individuals really love that person, you know, those kinds of things. And, so you have to start to learn, you know, about how that works. I think you'll have a lot of fun if you do it with your folks, I really do. And we should, you know, be able to use that with each other, you know? Those of you who process internally are not gonna get it when I come to you to talk something out that I'm struggling with. Because when I talk something out, I say stuff I don't mean. I say stuff I don't even really feel. I just need to get it all out, and then I look at it and I go, oh, that idea's gone, this idea's gone, that, okay, all right, boil it down. When I boil it down, guess what the question I come to is? After I get all my madness out, what was my part in it? Did I train the person adequately? Is that person the right person in the right place at the right time doing the right job? Can they do the job at all? Did I treat them in any way that would have caused them to behave the way that they're behaving? And then the leap that we have to learn to make, and this is a tough one, is that we have to hold people responsible for their choices. So sometimes we get to the whole analysis and we say, okay, this isn't working, this isn't the right person for this job, but they worked here for 10 years, and what am I gonna do, you know? So we send them an email, and we CC everybody, so they'll feel sufficiently punished, and hope that the problem goes away. That's what this class is about. It's about a different way of working with folks. It's maybe a more genuine way. How many people here would like to know when their performance isn't what it needs to be to protect the sanctity of that relationship? How many of your staff people would like to know it? I think they all would.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem is not what we tell people, it's how. One of the things that Myers-Briggs teaches is that people process information differently. We hear it differently based on who we are and what our personality is. Let's talk a little bit about, if I could give you a team and very good staff people, what kind of attributes would your team have? What would they be like? What would you tell someone else? Hey, I have a great team because they what?
Work well together.
What else?
Loyalty.
To who?
The team.
Okay. What else?
Dependable.
Compassion.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Adaptable.
That's a good one too. So, if all of your staff could be all those things, would that work for you? And what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our perfect team, right?
No,
What are we missing?
you gotta be nimble.
Yeah. Communication skills is very important. Remember, I said how and not what?
Yeah.
At, one of my jobs was a huge pay cut. It was a nonprofit, a huge funding cut. And we ended up doing a pay cut because the staff didn't want to see anyone lose their jobs. We did a pay cut and nobody was mad. You can do it. All right, what else? Anything else I'm missing?
Creative.
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah, it's good. So, what?
Empathetic.
Yeah. I missed that one.
Hello?
So let's say that this in general are the characteristics we'd like to have in each of our individuals and them as a team, our staff, and them as a team, right? Is that how we're gonna get it? Have you ever had anyone who worked as an authoritarian create a team like this? No. Management has to lead all of us. You know, not just Tom, but I have to be an example here. If I sit in my office and I don't ever come out and see you guys, if I go to the parties and I don't talk to the people that we serve, and the only thing you ever know is people come out of my office crying,
Oh boy.
what am I teaching you? What's my message? That whole Walker Pine thing is for real, right? But what I want to do is I want to be these things as a leader. And you know, if you are these things, you're not them if you have to tell people you are. Okay? If you have to tell people you're their boss, you're not. If they don't already know that they admire you and that they want to learn from you and that they're willing to follow you, you're already done. Because like we said, you cannot make another human being do one thing they don't want to do. So we have to be able to get behind people, to get underneath people, and to get in front of people as an example. And a good boss rewards people, notices these kinds of things, and works hard to put these people out front to get the credit, right? The boss needs to be small, and the people, you see, the bosses are small. But the people, the team is big. So you eventually, if you're a good example, you have people in your team writing notes saying, I cannot believe how great the floors looked last night. Thank you, third shift. That was wonderful. But if you just try to tell people, if I send you an email and say, today I want you to tell 3 people, good job, Larry. What do you think the change in their behaviors are going to be? You think so?
If I tell people they did a good job.
Yeah. But what's another way to do it? What are some other ways to say good job? Like one of the things I like to do is say it in front of someone else. If Tom is walking by, I like to call someone out and say thanks, you know? Those kind of things. Or to say it in front of some other people, you know? Or to say, wow, I really like the way that you're teaching this crew how to do those cassette boxes. They're not cassettes, they're DVD boxes. See, I'm old. Would you mind showing a couple of new people how to do that, or helping the volunteer? You know, those are the kind of ways we do it. But most of all, we don't want people to do things because we told them to, or made them, or we're going to write them up if they don't. We want to create an environment of personal responsibility where your staff take responsibility for exhibiting these behaviors, and when they don't, they admit it. Now, I know we got a ways, but if I am exhibiting those behaviors, if I take responsibility for what I've done and haven't done, if I show up, tell the truth, and have fun, my staff are going to respect me for that. So first of all, you gotta be an example in your own home. Watch what you write. You know? Be careful. Show restraint of tongue and pen when you're a manager. Because some things read in an email completely differently to the person who got them, right?
Yes.
Did you guys ever get an email that you went, whoa?
Oh, yes.
And the other person thought they were just saying, can I have some cookies? But what you heard was, give me the cookies. Nobody likes that, you know? So talk to people as much as you can and write as little. When you have a criticism of a person, say it. Do not write it. Because, especially the first time, you know, if you're trying to create some kind of documentation record for someone's poor performance, I want to know that you guys have talked about this before. I don't want to see it in writing before there's been a discussion. That's disrespectful. I mean, I wouldn't do it to you. Don't do it to me. You have a problem with me, I should know it. And when anybody gets terminated here, they should have known a long time ago it was coming. It should be no surprise, because you've been having these discussions and writing these things up, and we'll talk more about that. Another thing I want to propose, sometimes around here I hear people talking about our direct service staff in kind of a derogatory way. Now, it's not that there aren't people who work here who deserve every comment we're saying, but if you have people that aren't good in your home, it's on you. It's not on the employee, right? You have to deal with your employees. So expect a lot from your employees. One of the things that I say a lot is you're better than that to my employees. You know, there's a much higher level that you can function on here. Let's see it. Let's do it. You know, offer them opportunities to learn and opportunities to grow. Talk about them, you know, talk about their futures with them. You know, what they want and how they see themselves. There's nothing wrong with being the best direct care person in the world, but if somebody's going to be here, that's what we want them to aspire to. And we want to offer them the opportunity to do that. When an employee brings a problem to me, and I know that some of the problems that you guys hear, which is so-and-so used all the money up in the weekend and I couldn't go on my outing on Monday. So-and-so talks on her cell phone all weekend and doesn't do any work. You know, second shift left a mess for us on third shift. So-and-so isn't following the behavior program and I'm concerned. When employees come to me with that kind of stuff, first of all, I say, what's your part in it? Because there isn't any problem that we haven't contributed to in some way. Either we've allowed it, we've overlooked it. Usually by the time it comes to you, that other employee did it 50 times. And they're just sick of it now. Did they address it in the beginning? No, when it was a small thing. Things are very small if you address them right away, but in this kind of an environment, and I hate to say this, but with a lot of women, man, we know how to... We talk to everybody, we find people who agree with us, you know, and tell them the story, and then they go, oh, that was awful, you know. So it's important for not only us to own our part in it, but to make sure each employee is owning their part in what's going on, because they do have a part. Do not allow blaming and shaming, especially not in an email. If you are unable to come to a management meeting, do not write an email that says, well, I couldn't come because I wasn't notified early enough of this meeting, and then my staff took the van, and I told them not to. Just say, sorry, I can't come today. You know, there's no need for that. Nobody expects that. If your report isn't going to be in on Friday, you just say, I can't get the report in on Friday, you'll have it Saturday morning or Monday or whatever. I apologize if that causes any problems for you. what happens in my life when I blame other people for what's going on in my life, I'm just handing them all my power. Because if it's your fault, I can't change it, can I? Now, if it's my fault, I can change all of that in my little hula hoop. I can make a difference. But becoming a victim is so unattractive, and it's not a good leadership quality. And if you're a victim, I will promise you your staff are. And I'm just thinking about a whole house full of, I didn't do it, they did it to me, don't I have it awful? You know, whining. I hate whining. So, no blaming, no shaming. Let's talk about the answer to, you know, I don't have the van because somebody took it when they weren't supposed to. All right, let's fix it. How are we gonna fix it? What was your part in it? Okay, well, we're not gonna do that again. And how do we fix this problem? Is there another van we could borrow? Is there, you know? So let's get into problem solving and let's make it positive and let's learn from whatever went on. But we don't wanna dwell on it and like, you know, it's almost like if I gave everybody paintball guns and every time you did something I didn't like, I would shoot you. And whoever has the most paintball spray, you know, is in trouble. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to fix it. We're a team, all for one and one for all. That's a hard thing to accomplish in this environment, is it not? There's a lot of splitting going on. You know what splitting is? I'm on Jessica's team, and I decided I don't like something that Jessica does, so I'm going to find someone who used to work for Jessica that I know, and we're going to gripe and complain about Jessica. So instead of me going to her and saying something is going on, you know, I'm starting to just split her whole team up by getting people to take sides. And there's people that are experts at it. Have you not seen them? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so we really wanna put a stop to that. We want to really get people to be into one for all and all for one. Tell me, do you guys have any questions about that? Do you see why I'm all excited about it? About personal responsibility? No, it's not a test. I swear to God. Yeah, thank you. I stapled these incorrectly. We actually don't need to make more here. You guys can share, because this is just an example. This is what I do with my team on a weekly basis. We meet, and this is how we work on all for one and one for all. Can you share?
Is she her boss?
It was.
Sorry.
Hey,
Oh, give me one back. I know.
this is actually like our team meeting stuff.
Yeah.
Literally.
It is. I didn't even change the copies of it. So, you gotta know if you're getting anywhere, you guys. How do you know? Right? It is so easy. I could do nothing but day to day. I could do nothing but answer my phone, answer my emails, solve the problems, get Norma to read the whole email, the whole day, and never move anywhere. ENTJs just don't do that, do they, Sean? We're not having it. So I gave you this just as an example of a way to get to all for one and one for all by having goals as a team, routinely going over those goals. It gives you an automatic way to reward success, right? If you got something cool to send to Tom to show what your department is doing, which is what I do, and I send it to admin so they know what HR is doing. And this is a combination of my tactical goals plus, you know, the HR goals. This is what we're working on. Anybody wants to see it, they can see it anytime. And so you guys might read this and go, Jane, you really need to have a birthday list. You know, I don't see any birthday lists on here, and we don't have a birthday thing. So I feel like, you know, somehow you need to measure success. Tell me how some of you measure success. What do you do? Come on, Jennifer.
You mean the success of my staff?
Yeah,
I see it through my clients.
there we go. So if you, one of the ways to measure success if you're serving clients is to put some of that success together in a chart. And once a quarter, go over it with your staff and go, wow, you know, we really succeeded in all these things. And then you go, well, this one we aren't, let's quit it. You know,
We do
that's
that
great.
IHP.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it'd be nice to see it all in one place, wouldn't it? In your spare time doing that? I'm sure that data is all in a database and you just have to write a little report, right? Right. How else do you measure success? Sam, how do you do it?
That's basically what we do is complete work orders. So usually, if the manager is happy, I'm happy.
So wouldn't it be cool, yeah, that's a very good one. But wouldn't it be cool for your staff people to quarterly keep track of how many work orders came in and how many you completed?
Oh, I do. I tell them.
Do you?
Usually I do it monthly. I do it monthly.
So they like seeing that, don't they? Yeah. Very good. I bet you've seen some weird ones. How many hairbrushes in the toilet?
You mean lotion bottles and deodorant
Yeah.
bottles?
I know this
That's a
field.
challenge.
Deb, do you measure success over there?
We do. We have weekly meetings, and then we look at how our clients are progressing with their work projects and how our staff can improve their success.
Very good. So this is something that I would really encourage you to do. The other thing I think some of you can do, but not all of you, is you can do some little satisfaction surveys with your staff or with your individuals. Now, some of your individuals are not going to be able to give you, you know, a lot of feedback, but some folks do, you know? And I know you hear the complaints. I know you do, because I hear them. And some of the things we can't resolve. I mean, some of the things folks want, we don't, you know. I cannot get you a submarine, I'm so sorry. Okay, so, what time is it?
11.
Let's take a quickie break and then we'll wind up. It was starting to be studied back in the 1990s. What emotional intelligence is the ability to understand other people's emotions as well as the ability to understand our own emotions. And as a result of that, we learn how to be able to work with others more effectively. How many of you would say that your problems are mostly caused by emotions?
Yeah.
Your supervisory, right? Somewhere behind it is a resentment or a fear or something, right, going on? So the ability to understand other people's emotions and our own emotions and then make changes in how we behave is really important. For me, I think about my emotions as kind of a smoke detector. I don't think of my emotions as a call to act. The prisons are filled with people who act on emotion, right? No thought, no pause in between I'm angry and you're dead. So what emotional intelligence does is it intends to create a moment between a thought, a feeling, and your mouth, which has been a long struggle for me, and I am not completely successful yet. But if we're gonna be dealing with people who are emotional and who are responding to us emotionally, it makes sense that we wanna learn to, know when other people are feeling emotional, see what our reaction is, and then react appropriately. So the 5 domains of EQ are, first of all, knowing your own emotions. How many of you feel you are pretty good at sensing your emotions? You pretty much know. I like to just shut them down completely, then I don't have to worry. How are you at managing your emotions? How many people have not had a loud argument in 6 months?
A what?
A loud argument in 6 months. Oh, we got a few.
Have not?
Yeah, work from home.
They're all EQ'd all over the place over there. It's also about motivating ourselves, meaning thinking about, there are certain things people say and do in my presence that definitely push my buttons. You know, there's other things people can do, and I don't really have a reaction to that, but we all kind of have buttons, right? And if you've ever had kids, you've taught your kids how to press your buttons, right? Yeah. And then you're going, who's teaching who what? You know? So always ask yourself that when you're being a manager, who is teaching who what here? So we have to motivate ourselves, and we have to understand what we can do next. The other is to recognize other people's emotions. Are you guys how many people have no clue when somebody's mad at them? No? Anybody that's not good at reading emotions? Like you're surprised all the time when you find out? Okay. Good. So you're EQ'd on that level, right? But, you know, there is a line of integrity between recognizing other people's emotions and saying, I know you're pissed, your arms are crossed, you're looking at me funny, and I know why you're pissed. You're pissed because you never let go of what was happening 2 weeks ago. I don't know that to be true. None of us like people to make too many assumptions. Looking at other people's emotions is a cue. It's a smoke detector. But we can't think that we really know what other people think and feel, because that's presumptuous and insulting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
He's actually mad at what you did this morning, not.
Yeah, that's true. Changing the rooms. Frosted your cookies. So we have to manage these relationships. So if someone comes charging in my office and they're all mad at one of you guys because you wrote some email or you did something, and I happen to like you guys, so I'm not real happy that they're talking like that about you, right? And I know you're not really like that. Well, I cannot say, girl, no neck, none of that. I have to say, I hear you saying that you're really upset with Larry, and you're feeling like Larry is not unfair. Is that what you're saying? Right? Because the outcome I want is for this person to have resolved their issues with Larry, right? I don't want to prove to them that Larry's not, well, I kind of do, but I can't prove to them that Larry's not what he, no, there's nothing I can say that's going to change their mind. So going at them with an aggressive kind of stance is not, it's going to be self-defeating. And it's not going to get me where I want to go, and that person's never going to come back and talk to me again and tell me anything, which is not good. Because I like staff to come tell me stuff. So if we are appealing to, or we're doing EQ, then there's a high EQ, which means that I give you every opportunity, I listen clearly to you and those kind of things. And then there's low EQ, meaning I gossip about you. So high EQ is when we appeal to our highest self. When I say, you know what, Jane, the big outcome that I want here is to have a good relationship with all employees. And at low EQ, when that person came to my office, would be to go to Althea and go, do you have any idea what so-and-so just came to my office and said about Larry? That's like no emotional intelligence there. And you know what happens? Remember we talked earlier about my soul doesn't like it when I do that. My throat tightens, my solar plexus tightens. I don't feel good about myself when I do stuff like that. I have to pay attention to that, and I have to make things right. The whole blaming and naming thing we talked about, go back to restraint of tongue and pen. Emails, have someone else read them before you send them out. Norm and I do that all the time because, you know, it's going to sound different to everybody. And sometimes when you're writing an email, ask yourself, should I really be talking to this person? Because, you know, we can get very emotionally lazy with text and with emails. I don't really want to face that person. I don't really want to talk to that person. So I'm just going to send them this cold, dark email that they're going to misunderstand. But it'll be their fault because we're blaming. Detachment is a good thing. The Buddhists are very strong on detachment. And what detachment means is that I detach myself from all of the people and the problems on earth because in actuality I can't fix them anyway, right? But from that position I can see things differently than if I am attached. And if I get mad at you, Sam, and I've given you my power and now I'm blaming you for all the stuff that's going on, where am I going to go from there? But if I'm detached, I can say, wow, Sam is having a crappy day today. And could I, you know, ignore the fact that I'm annoyed, and could I be a good person to see what's wrong with him, you know, help him out? I do not have to entertain every feeling of ill will that I have. And I do not have to say every word that comes to my mind. In fact, 80% of it probably ought to be filtered out. It's that pause, I said, that we try to get. Just wait a few minutes. If something inside of you says, uh-oh, don't do it, don't do it. Because once it's said, once it's done, once it's emailed, you can't take it back. Words you cannot take back. And I know you guys have run into a little passive aggression. High IQ, we just speak the truth wisely. When I say wisely, what I mean is I do not speak the truth about what I think about anyone's hairdo, their clothing, the car they drive, the way they walk. No one wants to know my opinion about all those things. So to speak the truth wisely is to say, Sarah, I see you're bumping your head against the wall and I'm concerned about you. So in this situation, my motive is to help her, right? Not to hurt her. If I can help you, I will. If I can hurt you, I won't. Good words to live by. Is it necessary? Is it kind? And is it true? 3 other things. That's what my filter is between my head and my mouth. Is it necessary? Is it kind? And is it true? That's speaking wisely, right there. Or there's the passive-aggressive thing, where I say, gee, would you mind filing these files and then give me a report on this, and then nothing happens. You ever had that happen? Probably not. Everybody just probably, right? So what I want to know now is, I want you to tell me, what are some of the things that your managers have done, except for Tom, that, or except for anyone here in the past, that you thought were low EQ? hear mine? Oh, go ahead.
Habitually late to meetings.
Yep. Good one. Here's one that I hate. Give me goals, but no staff, money, or authority.
Perfect lane.
Perfect storm. I can't take responsibility unless I have the authority and the means, right? What other things have happened to you in the past that supervisors did? You guys all had that good of a life? Come on now.
Being blindsided, well, yeah, being blindsided by a bad evaluation.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we talked earlier that people should know they're getting a bad evaluation. They should know they're gonna get fired because we've been talking about it for months, right? What else?
No follow through.
Yes. We have a situation where we have to talk to a vendor on a routine basis to help us get something done. And we asked for a report 2 years ago. And I said last week, are we gonna get this report? And the person said, oh yeah. And I said, when? And they said, well, I'm not sure. And I said, we asked for it 2 years ago. So it happens, right? What else?
Ignores problems.
Yes. I call that fluffing the pillows. Washing the curtains and fluffing the pillows, but ignoring the fact that somebody who lives there is totally out of control, or one of the staff people is stealing you blind. Nobody likes to fire people. Nobody likes to go through that process. But the avoidance of it can cause problems for all your staff, right? Why should your great staff have to work with somebody who's not good? Right? Yeah. And we in HR can help you with that problem. What else?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I've had with a client that I had, and I had to not work with this client anymore, was a situation where there was no consistency. If this guy liked you, he'd give you raises and all kinds of stuff whenever. If he didn't like you, you were gone. No write-ups, no, just willy-nilly, not following the policies and procedures and just doing, because I own the place, right? You think of anything else?
No. Favoritism, I guess.
Yeah.
No support and somebody else gets everything.
Sacred cows. This is called Naked Emperors. You guys all know the fable of the Naked Emperor?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's turn those things into high EQ. What's the opposite?
What is the fable of the naked emperor?
There was, I can't say it word for word, but there was an emperor and he had a tailor who was making him clothes and stuff, and the tailor decided the guy was so vain that he could get him to go naked, so he convinced him that he had this clothing made of invisible material. And he convinced him to go out in the procession with no clothes on, and all these people didn't say anything. They're like, oh, your majesty, this is beautiful. Except one little kid goes, the emperor's naked. So that is the naked emperor. So, what's the opposite of late to meetings?
You did a little bit early, actually.
Early.
Have yourself set up
I
and.
think it's kind of about commitment.
Respecting people's time.
Yeah, it's about commitment and respect, isn't it? That if you're committed, you show up. If you don't care, you're late. How about, poor delegation? Talked about it a lot today.
Don't set your staff up for failure. I mean, basically, those goals are setting that person up directly for failure.
Yeah.
And unsupportive and.
I would
Give them
say,
goals that are reachable, attainable,
yeah,
and the tools to do it.
I would say involved and supportive would be the opposite, right? Because that's not supportive.
And empower.
Yeah, that's another one. What's the opposite of being blindsided?
Awareness.
Awareness and communication.
Addressing problems when they're small problems.
Yeah.
Being honest,
Yeah.
even if it hurts.
Remember when I talk about being fear-based? People who can't talk to people about their issues, that's a fear. And we have to be able to get past that fear to be honest with someone. And if we think about it, like if I said, Sean, who are you talking to on your phone? No.
Tom, stop emailing.
Candy. That's great.
No, I'm kidding, he's not emailing.
I mean, if I try to address an issue with Sean, what do I think he's gonna do? Blow me up? No. I'm gonna be a little uncomfortable. We have to learn it's okay to be a little uncomfortable. It'll be over. We'll get past it, you know? How about no follow through? That goes back to this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ignores problems. Yeah, I'd say address problems with teamwork. Teamwork is a lot of work. It's easier to sit in your office and write emails all day and solve all the problems. It's much harder to engage employees and get their input and their feedback and keep them in the feedback loop on what's going on. But in the end, if you do that for a couple of years, you will be work-free because your team will be doing it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Lead by example.
Yep. That's so important. And I want you to know that I did not eat pizza with Tom last week as the chair of the wellness committee. Oops, honesty, I forgot that one. What about favoritism?
Fairness.
Yeah. Although I do want to address fairness because you're going to need this when you talk to your staff, briefly. When my kids were little, they would say, "Mommy, that's not fair." And I would say, well, fair is where we go in the summer and we see the pigs and cows. The world isn't a fair place. We need to be consistent with our staff. But fair is a very subjective thing that is very hard to get our arms around, right? Everybody should have the same opportunities. So everybody should be appraised with the same eye, right? Everybody should be held to the same standard. You know, that I agree with, but because the girl next door got the new Barbie princess bike does not mean it isn't fair because you don't have one.
I think it also Because it's not necessarily having the same consequences or outcomes, but if you take the time to listen to both people.
You know, I have found that a couple times, I've called some staff up on issues here, just to kind of hear them out. I'm telling you, they did not want me to agree with them. They just wanted to know someone heard what their input was. You know, that's all they wanted. They wanted someone to acknowledge that they were trying to say something about their experience at work. And, so that was a good thing. All right, so, I think how I want to do this. I am going to go around the table, and I want you to tell me, around all the tables, and I want you to tell me something that you learned today that was either new or something you knew, but it was renewed for you, that you're going to apply this week to your management style. You can start this time, Karen.
I guess that the biggest thing that I know, or I guess it's, building an environment of personal responsibilities, which you talked about. And so, like, I know that, I know most of the points, but it's harder for me, I guess, sometimes, because it's hard to know where that line is, and that's something I have to work on. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but that's what helped me with the little things.
The part about always asking what your part is in something, because that does help you to find ways you can affect something even if you can't completely change it. And the Myers-Briggs part about thinking, like you mentioned, you can't go into somebody who's an IS and say, this is a fire drill, this is an emergency, I need this done, and I need it done in 2 minutes, because they just don't react to that. So thinking about who you're communicating with and what they can hear and how they need to hear it.
I felt like you were pulling them out of my brain. And to piggyback on that, those were the things that I took out of that, and I continue to do this and improve upon it every single day. It's taking that few moments, because you are wearing different hats, and that person is a different type of person, and you have to figure out how to approach the situation to the best and to the most effective manner. So taking those few moments before saying something that's going to, start the situation off on a bad foot. So, yeah.
To me, learning about people's personalities, I think would be really super helpful to learn how to better deal with them and talk with them.
Could we ask everyone to wear a sticker from now on?
That would be
telling
awesome.
what their Myers-Briggs score is?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
My name is such and such, and I'm an IM.
Well, mainly for me, the new things with the Myers-Briggs thing, the different types of personalities. But since I'm an IS, I guess I'll just sit around and think about it.
Yeah, you get it.
It was the Myers-Briggs skills for me too, because I have never taken it. And so it did help me look at some of my weaknesses and strengths.
Myers and Briggs, basically for me, just realizing that I have different staffs with different thought processes, so that helped me understand them better.
Learn to verbalize more to compliment my staff. I tend to go toward the negative, but I don't tell them when they've done a great job. I gotta do better at that.
Good job.
For somebody to say that, I mean, that's really,
Yeah.
that's really a strong thing to say, so.
And I think the same thing. I'm so very focused on measuring everything and that I expect the paperwork to be done and I don't maybe show them in a measurable way how much they've done and what change they've affected.
What struck me most, I think, is learning to manage myself better and being aware of my interactions with other people and how they might be perceiving me, how I'm coming across.
Thank you.
I think watching what you write versus what you say, because writing you can tend to be more harsh and you're just writing out of anger or frustration, versus when you actually speak to someone face to face, it comes out different and people really do perceive it different on paper than in person.
Yeah, I agree with what she just said. I'm going to be more aware of how my notes are being
Come across.
interpreted, how they can come across, and try to better that.
I see you.
Oh, I thought I was invisible. I don't know. It's just told me things that I knew about myself. I'm just a kind of free person, go with the flow type of person, bored real easily. So I guess I get along with my staff, you know. So we don't have any issues. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go back and have all my staff do the Myers-Briggs, so I can learn what the persona types are and how I can deal with them more effectively.
And I'll send you the link, there's lots more information online.
Great.
Well, I have been practicing more, giving more verbal. Like I said, I was telling Daniel, I send out daily texts, like to my staff, appreciating the workload and all, because you know it is kind of stressful sometimes, and also being more verbal with my staff, because sometimes I get a little frustrated and I don't say anything, so I'm learning to communicate more about what's going on.
Very good. Don't forget about the fun either. You know, put underwear on the lampshades for when second shift comes in. Give them a little smile. Oh, shit. They better be clean.
This was my first time doing the Myers-Briggs, and it had me to a T. And also, what we talked about earlier, as far as restraint of the tongue, to piggyback off what Noreen said, I'm still working on pretty much staying professional through emails, because it was an incident where somebody from the county emailed me, and the way she wrote it, I perceived it as if she was attacking me, and then I wrote it back and CC'd a couple of people, and then someone came to me and was like, you sound like you was cussing her out pretty much. So I'm pretty much still learning how to just pretty much stay professional and choose my words wisely when sending out an email, if I feel it's a little harsh or whatever.
Thank you.
I gravitate toward the communication component. I'm a firm believer of, face-to-face or over the phone, because I think that the opportunity to dialogue is increased in the written word. And I also believe that you communicate as though the same manner that you would as if you wrote it. In other words, do not have, the courage in writing if you do not have the courage to speak it, to verbalize it. I think that you should have that consistency across the board, and again, I think that leads to a lot of misunderstandings and hurt feelings, miscommunications.
Well, I've taken that Myers-Briggs before, but this time it pinpointed me. So from that, I would like to, and also on this EQ, lead by example. I always try to, but sometimes, things don't work the way that you want it to be. But pretty much I want to be able to lead by example.
pretty much have learned that, like you said, everybody kind of needs to own their part in certain situations. And, one of my downfalls is, letting some things go. And I notice sometimes it may have a negative effect on my staff, especially amongst their peers. So if I can, like you said, lead by example and try to, just get the point across a little bit more clear to everyone, to where it's not, a lot of miscommunication being held. And, learning my staff's personalities, I think it's a good idea to have, my staff also take the test just so they can learn their peers' personalities. I know my staff's personalities pretty well, so I've been working with them for so long. But at the same token, if I think that, if the staff knew their peers' personalities, when I try to explain it to them, it's like, oh, you just, no, I know how this person is. This is their logic. They may not go over and beyond because you do, because they're just not that type of person. It's not in their personality to do those things. So I think, if I have everybody do it, it'll be a good thing amongst the house.
Thank you. I think the thing I'm going to take away is the principles of the emotional intelligence. Some of those things are what you consider common sense, what I perceive to be common sense, but this, I guess, when you talk about it in depth, it helped me to more, to be able to gauge it better, and I guess put a, with the theories, with the concept, it helped it more mesh for me, and that is, being a supervisor is more about, like I said, managing emotions as well as just relationship. It's not just about, you have to do both. Without, you can't do one or the other. Right. So I guess, I never look at it that way. I didn't look at it from a point of view of their emotions. It's not about that. That's what, for me, it's about, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Right, but it's not black and white.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Very good.
Well, what was the first question? What have I learned? Let's see. Everything everybody else said. Everything, but really, the communication part. And this Briggs, taking it back, I know myself, so I know me, but taking it back to the staff to see, where they, how they would fit into this. Let my guard down a little bit more on the softer side. Yeah. I guess I should say. One thing I can say I have improved is my tongue. I'm quick to say something, so I have improved. I stop, I'll think, take a moment, breathe before I respond. Right. But I'm still working on that too. That's when I'm talking. Thanks so much. Can't wait to the next session. Thank you.
I agree with LA. I've been working a lot with not being as emotionally attached and kind of thinking before I respond rather than like shooting from the hip like I usually do, or like I have in the last couple of years. But also, the emotional intelligence part, especially because emotions have been running so high out at Harry in the last 4 months, that I think it's real important that we get, back to the basics. So working with that with staff.
I learned not to be late to meetings, to be late. No, but really, I am working on building a better environment with my staff, saying what I mean and mean what I say, so that there's no confusion, like Terrence said, kind of like just, I want to be able to be more direct with my staff so that there's, you know, they take my word as being more serious.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting aspects is everything that's been discussed today is actually consistent with and what you hear me talk about, particularly in employee orientation and with others, is we have serious jobs here. We're supporting individuals who need our help, you know, to live fuller and better lives, and that any techniques that we as managers and supervisors can learn to help us manage our resources better and tie that back to our values of the organization. It's going to make us a better organization as well as better supervisors and managers. And you know, what I take away from here is this is another way of pointing out the importance of our values.
It's true. All right, looking forward to seeing, I just sent you guys a calendar item for next month. When I get back upstairs, I will send you all of these handouts. I'll tell you how to locate the video on, you can even use the Myers-Briggs part of the video when you do it with your staff on a laptop. But, yeah, so I'll send you all that stuff, and have a great day. Get done early? Yes.